Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to Talks That Teach. I'm your host 𝗚𝗚𝗎𝗿𝗏, and today we are diving into the world of English language teaching with someone who's truly making a difference. Fajarudin Akbar is from Indonesia. He's not just teaching English; he's helping learners and real world skills and confidence. From helping students with IELTS to guiding professionals in business English, he is using technology in creative ways to make learners fun and practical. I would like to ask, you can say the one, two more question, Fajruddin. I was scrolling your, you can say the Facebook. That was, you can say you were taking great interest in riding bikes and you can say the taking adventures with your friend. What's that? May you share some glimpse of your life before we you can starting our other episode? Yes.
Thank you, Nasir. Thank you, Nasir. Well, that's a very unique question. So yeah, the other side of my life. Well, I have always been into motorcycle, riding motorcycle. So when I was in college, when I was still in university, I used to race motorcycle. Well, it's a community race, and then I like to take my motorcycle somewhere far away with the community. And yeah, I like speed. I like automotives, but motorcycle in specific because it feels like a freedom when I ride my motorcycle. I can see the world um, freely. I can find new places. I can connect with people sometimes when I'm on motorcycle compared to when I drive a car. When you drive a car, you just go on a highway and then you arrive at your destination. But when you ride a motorcycle, I stop by something at a mini market, at a gas station, and I meet new people, talk about motorcycle and stuff. So that's how I am into motorcycle.
It makes you can say our journey great fun. Wherever you want to stop, you can stop in easy way. You can explore. You can watch from your left and right. With every you can say that it's quite easy to you can say ride motorcycle as compared to the cars. Okay, let's
Correct.
start our topic today. Fajruddin, thanks much for being here with me. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started teaching English and what made you passionate about it?
It's a very lovely question. I always love this question, to be honest. Thank you for having this. So I started teaching. So I have always loved or been into English, learning English since I was in high school. So I was in this English club. Well, most school they have it. Well, whether it's junior high school, senior high school, or secondary school, they have it. So I was this in English club, and I was the chief, or let's say the leader of the English club. And I've always loved sharing about how I learn English and how from learning English I can learn more things because when you know English, when you can read English, listen English, speak English, of course, write English, you have more access to world's knowledge, which is delivered in English, mediated by the English language. And then, of course, after I graduated high school, I took the English education, English teacher training and education study at the university. Um, and then, yeah, well, I was a diligent student. I attended conferences, I wrote research articles, and well, not a very good GPA, but well, it was sufficient. However, I didn't finish my first university study, so I dropped out from my undergraduate study, which is
That
shocking, right?
from the
Shocking,
very
right?
beginning, from the onset of your life, you are just like a leader. Learning English is exploring the world, and you can say that have a
Mhm.
great access to you can say the storehouse of the knowledge.
Mhm.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And you have
Yeah.
done a lot from teaching IELTS to
Mhm.
mentoring schools. What part of teaching English do you enjoy the most and why?
Okay. All right. Continuing my story where I dropped out from my first university study, which was the last year of my study, I took the TOEFL and TESOL certificates online, right? And then I had the opportunity to get the scholarship from Open, where we met. from Open, the online professional English network, and it opened my perspective. Well, I learned a lot more from the courses from the Open compared to my university study, to be honest, right? And then it widened my perspective on how I see teaching, and then I get more into online courses. So it turns out that I feel satisfied when I can learn myself. Okay, so I can learn on my own time, at my own pace, and how I like it through online courses. And regarding to the IELTS, business English, exam preparations, so since knowing that learning through my own way or at my own pace, I also want it to happen to students. So I try my best to tailor learning or to be a teacher that learners need to support the way they can learn. As example, when I teach IELTS, well, there are a lot of things that you can teach when it comes to IELTS, right? There are a lot of materials, there are a lot of lesson plans, books that you can use in the classroom or with your students. But one thing that I always try my best to emphasize when it comes to teaching IELTS is why the students need IELTS, and in what way that IELTS can help them, and in what way or what things can help them in IELTS. Same thing goes for business English, specific purposes. So that's, well, we call it now personalized learning, right? Or individualized learning, and so on and so on. But my main goal is to let them know that they learn for themselves. And I want to be a person, or let's say in this case, a teacher that support them to learn for them, not to learn for others, not to learn from being burdened, pushed by scores or targets or the curriculum or the state exam and so on and so on, but to learn for them. That's my main goal.
That's great. That's great. I love that teaching can be, you can say, rewarding in so many different ways. And you can say that the students can explore with self-pace. That's, I think, a real learning. They can learn from their own pace, and maybe one challenge is students face. One challenge is, you can say, the opportunity for the other students. Same challenge may not be, you can say, the difficult for one student and for the other students. You can say students have different problems, their own. For instance, some students face listening problems, some face reading problems. In reading modules, they have different problems. For instance, matching headings, and you can say sometimes they have writing problems. In academic writing, I would like to say they have to distinguish types of essays. Sometimes you can say misinterpret over there, and sometimes some students feel problems while speaking session. Obviously, everyone have a different problems. Okay, yeah, you can say according to you, if the students go self-paced, it's a, you can say, great thing for his learning, and you offer those people a good thing that are ready to learn something. Thank you, Fajarudin. I will move for the next question. You have taught in places like Transform Me and but you can say Stu, SE, yes,
Student.
Stu, and Golden English. How do you adjust your teaching styles to fit in different scenarios? I think they maybe are quite different in situations,
Yes.
but the person
Correct,
is saying
correct.
how to adjust.
Yes, correct. That's a good one. Well, I have collaborated, partner with different language schools, non-formal language schools. So that's where I teach. I teach private students, or sometimes a group of students, but not at public school or not in formal education, but a language school. And yeah, again, I have worked and partnered with different language schools. And yes, correct. Different language schools, they have their own way. They try their best to tailor and develop the best way that they can provide for learners. But what I understand and to what I believe, it's the same goal, which is to provide the best for the students, to provide the best learning experience, to help and support students to reach their goals. So, So, well, teachers also have their uniqueness, right? Well, I believe you also have your uniqueness. Your fellow teachers have their own uniqueness. Our students have their own uniqueness. So it's not only that. It's not only that I have to adapt with different curriculum, let's say, or different principles, different beliefs from different language schools. I will also, or I've also tried my best to adapt it to students. So while working with different principles, curriculums, and beliefs from different language schools, I can adjust it by seeing the goals. And it's the same thing. It's the same goal. Help students, support students reach their goals, help students learn, achieve their success, and so on and so on. So by knowing that same goal, it's not actually burdening to adapt between materials, to adapt between approaches, to adapt between, learning habits, regulations, styles, and so on and so forth, because we have the same goal and that's it. And yeah, I've been doing well so far with how I see it, with how I feel learning. Because in the end of the day, no matter what approaches, no matter what methodologies, strategies, or techniques, your goal or my goal as a teacher is to support the learner. That's it. Sometimes, or most of the time, I say that it's not about my teaching, it's about the students learning.
That's great. That's great. I think the flexibility you are offering with the students, this means to instrumental for their learning. It's a great way to adapt the situations, and you have patterns of your mind to adapt instantly. I think that I have perceived from your talk. You can adapt within a moment. What type of learner is with you?
Yes, I'll try my best. I always try my best.
Yes, yes. Okay, can you share a few ways you use technology in your classrooms, especially for IELTS and business language classrooms?
I'm very grateful for technology, and I'm very grateful that I know as an English teacher, I can use, integrate, benefit, exploit technology in my teaching. I'm very grateful for that. And to be honest, well, I don't know what I can do further if I cannot use technology in my teaching. It would be unfortunately boring, dull, and well, limiting. Okay, in my case, right? In my case, well, I have been consuming a lot of websites, tools, applications, and resources. And however, again, well, I believe this is a very common phrase and terms. Pedagogy drives technology, not the other way. Okay? So we do not use technology for the sake of technology. We use technology for the sake of learning, for the sake of teaching. So what I have in mind is not about the technology. What I have in mind is my goal to help my students to learn, and what technology can help this, and how technology can help this. So there are times, there are situations, there are lessons that you don't need technology, and that's fine. Okay, and that's fine to not use technology when you don't need it. But that's great when you know you can use technology to make the learning maybe more meaningful, helpful, easier, effective, efficient, so on and so forth. Good things. Um, One way that I use technology in teaching is first to know if my students can also use the technology. That's what we call by accessibility in using technology. Okay. As example, well, these days I mostly teach online, right? We use Zoom, Google Meet, or other online platforms. Some students, they have limited bandwidth, okay? Or maybe, a slower connection. Okay. So I would consider or reconsider, okay, using more accessible tools. As example, as simple as PDF instead of online platform like Kahoot and Quizzes, if it's not possible. Okay, so I will just use PDF, as simple as that. But let's say it turns out that the students have a fast connection, okay, and they can use technology very well. Well, I will also adapt it. I will try to provide and integrate more advanced technology in the classroom or in that lesson, like that. So first thing first is that we know what we want to do or what we want to teach to help students, and then we know what technology and how technology can help with this. And
Yes.
also we need to know the what is it, the not the quality but the accessibility that the students have in terms of using this technology. So those are the considerations when it comes to using technology. So it's not always tech savvy and everything when it comes to my classroom. I will also need to know what is possible, what works, and what don't. And it's not what is it, yeah, it's not wrong to not use technology sometimes. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. So the thing is that we don't want to use technology for the sake of technology. We don't want to use technology in teaching because it's trendy, because it's popular, because it's in the loop now. But we want to use technology because we know what and how the technology can help with our teaching.
What a super, you can say that, language teacher. You consider need analysis of the students, what they
Correct.
require, and how you can adapt your technology in classrooms. So that's a wonderful point that we all teachers take into consideration before, you can say, the adapting and using technologies in our classrooms. I was, you can say that, scrolling LinkedIn for your profile. There was a number of AI tools that
Yes.
fascinated me. One was those, yeah, Skybox AI. I instantly
Mm.
explored over there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yes.
mm-hmm. Skybox AI, yes.
Uh, may you mention a few, you can say, the apps, or you can say something that can help teachers, they can assist teachers in their classrooms to make the interest of the students learn English as a fun, as a game.
Yeah, there are many tools these days that can actually help with that. Um, the one that I've been using and sharing recently, the name is Say What You Say. Google Say What You Say. So it's an app. Also, it's a website from Google. The name is Say What You Say. So in this
Yeah.
website, um, you will need to write what you say. Okay, and then from your writing, the website or the AI will generate an image of your writing. So it will visualize your idea. The name is Say What You See. That's a good for warm up and it's good for writing practice. And let's say in general, when it comes to materials designing, well, I've been using a lot of tools, but I've been jumping from ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and some uh, text to voice tools. So again, the thing is, I use these AI tools as example, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot and other stuff like chatbots, so that I can do more for my students. As example, now it's possible, not only possible, it's likely to be more possible for me to create personalized lessons. As example, let's say if I find an article about the current trend of economy in my country, in Indonesia. As example, something happens with the stock market in Indonesia. I can create a lesson out of that article, out of that news. I can create a worksheet. I can adapt the reading, make it into a certain level, as example A1, A2, make it graded, and then I can create an audio using AI tools like that.
Yes.
So the goal is again, it's not because of the tool, but it turns out that I can use the tool to benefit from and help my students personalize their learning and create a lesson that is specific for that learner. Yeah, that's how I have been using AI tools.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. You make your tools assistant of yours, and they support you to, you can say, in your classroom. That's wonderful,
Mm.
and it's a great thing that sometimes I'm explore perplexity, and it's
Mhm.
another tool that helps a lot. You can say that.
Mhm. Correct.
Okay, that.
Mm. That's also a good one.
Fajarudin, have taken courses like a TESOL and online teaching. How do you keep your skills fresh and keep learning as a teacher?
Yes, well, learning is my energy. Learning is what keeping me in teaching.
Yes.
Um, well, I have taken over 500 online courses. well, sounds exaggerating, but that's what happened. That's why I came up with the online course that I shared the other day. Because again, I can learn at my own pace. I love reading. I love listening to podcasts, recorded conferences, recorded webinars. So, well, there are many ways to keep up with professional development, especially teacher professional development. As example, for those who are watching this now, or for those who watch this live session later, recorded, this is a part of your professional development. There are many ways: reading articles, reading research papers, references, listening to podcasts. And one of and my favorite way of keeping up with professional development is through online courses, which there are abundance of it. Okay, so you can just search, as example, teaching English online course, and then you can find many of them, starting from free, very cheap, to very expensive. Okay, well, I start from free stuff. That's what we like, right? So, and I discover a lot of free online courses that I believe it's very unfortunate, it's not popular. One of the best one is the open, of course, the open book. That's how we keep up, okay? And Teaching English British Council, they also provide free online courses from their website. And the one is from the Open University UK. It's Open Learn. So it's not only for English teachers. That's how I keep myself relevant to my students, because my students are mostly they are not school students. They are university students. Sometimes they are engineers, they are CEOs, they are accountants, and so on and so forth. So I have to learn different world. And that's where I learned. The name of the website is Open Learn from the Open University UK. It's free, come with a certificate, and you can do it anytime, anywhere. You can just create a profile. Okay, and sometimes I adapt the course, make it into an English lesson. Okay, because again, my students sometimes they come from different background. Okay, mostly they are professionals because I teach business English. So yeah, that's how I keep with professional development. Though there are different ways, and this is the way that I like, which is through online course. Though I know there are teachers who prefer professional development that is live, in person, synchronous. So that's great. But if I can recommend, there are other ways that you can suit yourself in your own time, like that. And online course is one of the best way, in my opinion.
From your talk, I foresee that I have another, you can say, session with you for the open resources that help teachers a lot.
Yes.
You can say there are a number of things you can share with us.
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy. I'll be glad.
Inshallah, we will plan for our, you can say, the teachers. As a language leader of Indonesia, what are your aspirations for the future of English education in your country and globally, if you compare that?
Yes, that's a very complex one, but thank you for the question. Well, yeah, well, we have a lot of things to improve in Indonesia, but we are making progress in terms of English education, English learning, and how we feel English. So the thing is, there are terms, there are beliefs that I need to be that I think it needs to be gradually removed from the English education, not only in Indonesia but globally. As example, in my view, in my experience, Indonesia is still very into native speakerism, where those who are considered native speakers are preferred. Well, I respect those who use the language as their mother tongue, or since they were born, and then they want to teach it. That's great. Okay. I thank them on how they can share their view, not only in terms of language but culture. However, it's not about from the perspective of from the side of these people with the mother tongue, but from the learner side. So it becomes, I must say, I have to say this. It becomes something that is limiting. So it feels like that when you want to learn a language, let's say in this context English, you have to follow how certain people from certain countries use it, starting from their accent, as example, starting on how they do their life, which I have to say it limits diversity, right? So it needs to be gradually um, removed because, well, in my opinion, it's misleading. And when it comes to language learning, well, grammar is very popular in Indonesia. Well, you got to love grammar if you want to teach English. There are so many formulas that we know. We have subject plus V1, we have different songs, we have different games to teach grammar, which, well, if we see the trends or if we see the development of language teaching globally, we need to figure out that language itself is not defined by grammar. It's the other way. Grammar is defined by how the language is used. Now, how we use grammar to use the language. So a more communicative way, a more real-life use, especially with the help of technology, as simple as watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, or using AI to show how language is used communicatively instead of, memorizing grammar features or grammar formulas. Well, those are the things that I see is needed in my country in order to do better, even better, to grow as a big country that can communicate and connect with people globally.
I totally agree with you, Fajarudin. It's a great thing that language comes first and grammar uses later on.
Mhm.
One of the questions that most of the teachers want to ask, even they, you can say the people who want to teach online classes, online, they want to get clients online English language, you can say teachers. What advice would you give teachers who want to start teaching students from other countries online?
Mm,
What should
that's a
they
good
do?
one.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good one. This is something that I'm also currently still working on. Well, it involves marketing. It involves marketing, especially when you want to teach privately, right? You offer your teaching services privately. Well, it involves understanding of business. To what I know, to what I feel, some teachers, well, again, this is my opinion, right? It might be wrong, and I will admit it if I'm wrong. Some teachers might feel that business is something that is to avoid. Selling feels like, uh, sin. Selling things is like a sin, or business is something that is very cruel, rude. However, if we want to understand the world and if we want to support and prepare our students to know the real world as a teacher, not only English teacher, but let's say emphasize in this context English teacher, we need to know about business. We need to know about how people view this world, not only in education perspective. Because in the end of the day, education is not only our world. Education will not be the only world that our students see. So when it comes to starting an online teaching career, I would say to understand how business works, to understand your value, okay, to understand your value, how you can advertise yourself, create online presence. As example, as simple as Facebook profile, LinkedIn profile, a blog spot if you want to, a WordPress, and then understand the technology. There are many YouTube videos that explain things step by step. This is what is into my concern also. Sometimes when we learn new things, we are not patient enough. We are not patient enough. Like, well, meanwhile, it's actually needed to watch a tutorial step by step, slowly, take your time, and then review, try to understand. That's how you start something. And when it comes to online teaching, watching how others do online teaching. Again, there are so many things that you can find in YouTube. Teacher sharing how to start online teaching business, how to create online teaching profile. As example, we have Preply and other online teaching school. So understand the technology, understand how you can use technology, understand business. It's okay to sell things. Education is not the only world that exists, teachers. There are business worlds, creative worlds, and so on and so forth. So that's my best advice for now.
Thank you very much. Fajarudin, you made us mesmerized and such a way engaged. The time doesn't seem where we are going to. We have spent, you can say, 30 minutes, but it seems
Yeah.
that we are just starting right now. That's
Mhm.
the one thing that you can engage your audience in a wonderful way. My last, I would not like to, you can say say goodbye or anything else, but I want to ask one more question to you.
Mhm.
If you weren't an English teacher, what job do you think you'd love to do?
That's very difficult. Okay, well, well, I have been I must say 80% of my life is into teaching now, and I've dedicated a lot to teaching and caring about teaching. But I would say if it's not teaching, I would say mentoring, mentoring, or let's say guiding others. But let's say this is also one thing that teachers can consider, not only me probably, but what I can consider is that, as example, as an English teacher, I can use English. I can use English to learn new things. I can use English to communicate things, not only about grammar, not only about listening. I can communicate about other things. I can talk about the world. I can talk about technology. I can talk about marketing and so on and so forth. So if I were an English teacher, I will use my English skills and my ability to learn new things to find another career path. Probably things related to technology, as example like digital marketing, or something that's still related to teaching, as example like consulting. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Fajruddin. You can say we are going to wrap up for this fantastic interview. I have learned a lot from your
Thank you.
insights, and I think my viewers and audience have a great idea how to do such certain things, how to learn English, and different aspects you have shared with us. Fajruddin, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today. We really appreciate your efforts, and you have a great impact globally. Thank you very much for staying with us. Allah
Thank you very
Hafiz.
much for having me. I'm very honored.